And as those wildfires continue to rage, we are reaching out and speaking to one resident who has fled the region. A friend of the show, Todd Talbot, is joining us live over the phone this morning. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Tammie.
We are so sorry to hear about how it's affected you and, of course, thousands of others. Todd, we know you as the co-host of Love It or List It. You just came in here on BT to guest host not too long ago. And while you were here, you were showing such passion for A-Frame, which was a home that you were building in West Kelowna. Tell us about what happened there.
Well, it all happened really quickly. Thursday, there was obviously fires in the region. There was smoke in the air. Thursday, late afternoon, I'd suggested that Rebecca take our two kids to Vernon and get away from the smoke a little bit. Around 7:30, friends across the lake were texting me photos as the fire was picking up pace. The big problem was that it was so dry and it was so windy that this fire was getting out of control. And by 8:30, we had trucks ripping down our driveway, telling us that we had to go. And then it was an evening of guessing what damage, if there was any damage, was taking place. It was hard to see. It was hard to get any information. And people were obviously evacuated and trying to find places to stay that night.
Now, you were posting a lot on social media as well, just of the process. You started with being at the home and seeing smoke in the foreground there. And you actually posted as well about seeing the footage on CNN. You were watching the news when you saw your home.
Yeah, there were people. I don't know where this footage came from. Obviously, people were out in boats and posting. It was broadcast all over the world, and sent me a link, and that's when I saw our house and all of our neighbors' homes basically up in flames. It was surreal. I mean, it is a very bizarre thing to watch, and then to have to tell your children, who then break into tears, and yeah, it's something you don't expect to do.
The evacuation process, how was that for you? Your wife and children had gone already, so it was just you that remained and had to evacuate on your own. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was a couple other people in our little bay area where there's about 14 homes. Myself, my neighbors, Ray and Susan, were there, and I think another renter. The firefighters came down in kind of unmarked pickup trucks with their hazard lights on. It was smoky. They were going super fast, so you knew the intensity of the situation. You could see the fire kind of cresting over top of the mountain, like right behind us. Friends are texting photos from across the lake saying, "You really should get out of there. The fire is moving really fast." And then your brain kind of goes into another place. You're grabbing things, but I'm trying to compute what I should try and take, and yet there's not much time to really kind of plan for that. We'd been under evacuation notice before, and we hadn't been evacuated, and so we were working on the house, and it really does happen quickly. You think you might behave one way, and then you kind of get kicked into a different mode.
And that's one thing I was going to ask. You've been under evacuation order before, or at least notice before, and you see the smoke, you're taking that in. How shocking was it to see just how quickly this moved? Because it seemed like minutes.
There was a weather pattern change. It had been so hot, and this low pressure was driving these winds. There were crazy winds, and this outward pressure from the mountain down to the lake was driving the fire down, and it was moving incredibly fast. Honestly, I never actually thought the fire would reach our house, even though we were evacuated. It still didn't make sense to me that every single home would be evaporated in our bay. Everything is gone. It was shocking and quick.
And this is like you were saying. Our hearts go out to everyone who has lost their homes, their belongings, and everything they had. And I know that this was very much a passion project. You spoke about it so highly when you were here on BT guest hosting. Well, I mean, what's next? I was looking at your Instagram account for it, A-Frame. And it was just something that, again, you were putting in so much time, so much effort, documenting this, and to see it go up in flames, I mean, our hearts go out to you.
Well, I guess the irony in a way is that we were building this to try and address some of the climate change issues and dealing with extreme weather, smoke in the air. So this home was being built to be resilient to these types of conditions, and we were so close to the finish line. And now I guess we start again. I don't know. I mean, that's the battle in your head. You're trying to stay present and just kind of, regroup. And at the same time, you can't help but think forward and, the impact of how the whole area has changed now. I mean, it's all burned out, and, what's the experience of being there? And, how do we rebuild? Do I have the energy to do it? I don't know the answer to that at the moment.
Well, we are so sorry for the property loss, the loss of belongings, but we are very glad to hear that you and your family are safe and were able to make it out. Todd, thank you so much for joining us this morning and telling us a little bit about this process and your experience this weekend. We are so sorry to hear.
Yeah, thanks, Tammie.